There is someone at your job right now who does the bare minimum, shows up late, leaves early, contributes nothing that could not be replaced by a single well-written email. Everyone knows it. Your manager knows it. You have had the conversation in hushed voices near the coffee machine. And yet, that person is still there. Same desk, same salary, same performance review cycle, still surviving. Meanwhile, the person who stayed until 8 p.m. covered 2 roles during the hiring freeze, never once said, "That's not my job," is either gone, burned out, or quietly wondering what the point was. This is not a coincidence. This is not bad luck. This happens too consistently across too many industries in too many companies to be explained away as poor management or bad timing. So why does it keep happening? Not the motivational answer, not the advocate for yourself answer. The real one, the structural one, the one nobody usually gives you. That is what this is about. Before we talk about the lazy coworker, we need to talk about what their survival actually costs. And more importantly, who is paying for it. When a low performer stays on a team, the work does not disappear. The gap does not disappear. It just gets quietly redistributed to whoever is willing to pick it up. And no one asks. No one announces it. There is no meeting where the manager says, "Since Marcus is not pulling his weight, Sarah will absorb his responsibilities." It just happens. Gradually, invisibly. You write the report they were supposed to write. You take the client call nobody else prepared for. You onboard the new hire because the person assigned to it never quite got around to it. Each individual moment feels manageable, small even. But across months and years, it compounds into a second job, one that was never in your contract and never shows up in your performance review. This is the invisible tax. Every organization that tolerates a low performer is quietly billing the difference to whoever is most willing to pay it. And the people most willing to pay it are almost always the ones who care most about the work. That is the trap. Your conscientiousness becomes the subsidy. Your standards become the buffer that prevents the system from ever feeling the true cost of its own dysfunction. High performers do not burn out because they are weak. They burn out because they have been running someone else's deficit for so long, they forgot it was never theirs to run. But here is what makes this worse. The person benefiting from that subsidy, the one coasting while you absorb the gap, is not doing it by accident. The lazy coworker is not oblivious. That is the part most people get wrong. They are not stumbling through their career in a fog. In many cases, they have simply read the organization more accurately than anyone working twice as hard beside them. They figured out, through observation, through trial and error, sometimes through pure instinct, what actually matters inside this specific system. And they stopped spending energy on everything else. The high performer operates on a particular assumption. That output speaks for itself. That if the work is good enough, consistent enough, visible enough, it will be recognized and protected. It is a reasonable assumption. It is also frequently wrong. The low performer operates on a different map. They understand that in most organizations, survival is less about what you produce and more about how you are perceived by the people with decision-making power. So they invest there. Not in deliverables, in relationships, in optics, in being the kind of presence that nobody wants to deal with the fallout of removing. This is not cynicism dressed up as insight. It is a behavioral observation about how most corporate environments actually function. The stated values say performance matters. The actual incentive structure often rewards something else entirely. And the specific behaviors that get rewarded, that is where it gets uncomfortably precise. Phantom productivity is not doing nothing. It is doing the right visible things while avoiding anything that carries real accountability. Watch the pattern closely. They are always in the meeting, but never the one responsible for the follow-up. They reply to emails within minutes, but the replies never contain an actual decision. They speak the language of initiative and collaboration, but nothing they touch ever has their fingerprints on it when something goes wrong. Present in every room where presence gets noticed. Absent from every task where absence could be blamed. Think about the last time someone asked who dropped the ball on a project. Think about whether their name ever came up. This is what you could call checkpoints over contribution. the quiet mastery of hitting every visible approval signal while avoiding any genuine ownership. It is not laziness in the conventional sense. It is effort arbitrage, minimum energy, maximum visibility, zero exposure. And here is what makes it so effective. In most corporate roles, there is no clean number to measure against, no scoreboard, no clear metric that separates did the work from was present while others did the work. The manager sees someone who shows up, communicates regularly, and never causes problems. That reads as adequate. Sometimes it reads as reliable. The system cannot tell the difference, and the person who figured that out early, they are not lazy. They are playing a different game. Which raises the question everyone eventually arrives at. Why does the manager not see through it? The answer is more uncomfortable than most people expect. At this point, most people have already made up their mind about the manager. They are either oblivious or complicit. But there is a third explanation, and it is harder to argue with. The manager is making a rational calculation, and inaction keeps winning. Think through what formally addressing a low performer actually requires. Documentation, verbal warnings followed by written ones, a performance improvement plan with specific, measurable targets and defined timelines, HR involvement, potentially legal review, multiple check-ins, and after months of that process, the employee can still dispute the outcome. The whole thing can take 6 months to a year, consume significant management bandwidth, and result in nothing changing. Now consider the alternative. Do nothing. The work still gets done. Somehow. The high performers absorb the gap quietly. The output stays acceptable. Nobody above the manager notices a problem because the numbers are not alarming enough to trigger scrutiny. Tolerating a low performer is free. Addressing one is expensive. Not morally, structurally. The cost of inaction is invisible, distributed across the team, and deferred indefinitely. The cost of action is immediate, personal, uncertain, and entirely the manager's problem to manage. Given those two options, most managers, not bad managers, most managers, choose the path that costs them less right now. This is not weakness. It is a predictable response to a broken set of incentives. But the incentives did not appear from nowhere. There is infrastructure behind them, built, ironically, with the best of intentions. The systems that make it difficult to fire low performers were not designed to protect low performers. They were designed to protect workers from being fired unfairly. Wrongful termination, discrimination, retaliation. Those are real things that happen, and the legal and HR frameworks built to prevent them exist for legitimate reasons. But those same protections created a side effect nobody fully accounted for. Before a termination can proceed, most organizations require a documented paper trail. Verbal warning first, then written, then a formal performance improvement plan, specific, measurable, time-bound. HR review at multiple stages. Sometimes legal sign-off. The process is not designed to be fast. It is designed to be defensible. Most managers do not have the training, the time, or the organizational support to run that process correctly. So they do not start it. Instead, they have the vague conversation. I've noticed you seem a little checked out lately. The performance review comment, carefully worded to technically flag something without formally committing to anything. They manage around the problem rather than through it. And so the low performer learns, not necessarily consciously, exactly where the threshold of formal intervention sits. And they stay just below it. Visible enough to seem present. Careful enough to avoid generating the kind of documented failure that would force anyone's hand. The system meant to protect workers from unfair treatment became, in practice, a shelter for workers who understood how to use it. 3 threads now in plain view. What happens when you see them as one? Here is the loop, closed. Low performers survive because the machinery of removal is slow, expensive, and structurally unappealing for the people responsible for initiating it. Managers tolerate them because inaction distributes the cost invisibly while action concentrates it personally. Low performers, consciously or not, learn to stay below the threshold of intervention by mastering visibility and avoiding accountability. And high performers, unwilling or unable to play the same game, absorb the growing gap until the weight becomes unsustainable. Each part enables the next. The high performer's willingness to cover removes the urgency. The removed urgency eliminates the manager's incentive to act. The absence of consequences teaches the low performer that the current approach is working. The loop closes and runs again. This pattern holds across industries, company sizes, cultures, and management styles with remarkable consistency because it is not a people problem. It is a system problem, and systems do not fix themselves. Come back to where this started. That person's still at their desk. The one everyone knows should have been dealt with years ago. Still there, still fine. Most people walk into this topic carrying one question. Why is that person still here? But that was never the right question. The right question is, what kind of system makes keeping them easier than fixing anything? Because that person is not the disease. They are a symptom. A completely predictable output of an environment that rewards visibility over output, values compliance over contribution, and makes inaction the rational default for everyone with the power to change it. They did not break the system. They just understood it faster than most. Now you understand it too. What you do with that is yours to decide.